without further ado, I'm going to bring him straight on. We have got a special guest this evening. If you're on TikTok, you will definitely know this man. I'll bring him straight through, and I will introduce you to Mr. Joshua Cubed. Let me just move you down there because it's a bit like, there we go. Oh, you were in the wrong place then. I can't have you in the wrong place. It's a bit like Deck and Ant then. It was all over, but you're in the right place. There you go. You see, know your place. The guest is always at the bottom. So, Joshua, hello. Thank you for joining us on Lockdown Lock-In.
Thank you for having me. It's great.
This is a new thing.
I love the opening. I love you waiting at a bar. Basically, I thought it was hilarious. I enjoyed every second of it. Really, I was like, I know how it's called. I absolutely know how it goes.
See, I'm just pacing up and down the bar, waiting for it to open at 9 p.m. So yeah, hi. Thanks for joining us. This is the third Lockdown Lock-In we've done. We're still new. We're still figuring out what works, but we've got a bunch of people here watching, a bunch of people in the chat section, and delighted to welcome our special guest, another friend of mine. So Baz over this way is a friend of mine before, and down here is another friend of mine that I've never met. So it's this is the times we're living in. So this guy is called Joshua. I'm going to. I started following Joshua on. Do you remember when the days when following somebody would be a lot more sinister than it actually is? If I was to say that I've been following Joshua since round about May last year. It was a much more sinister thing. But I've been following Joshua on TikTok since about May last year, I think it was. I was going back on through to your videos to see if I could figure out when it was, but it was about May last year, and to see how far you've come in that, I'm like a proud dad. Do you know what I mean? Because like I've seen you come through this through this progression, and I love it. So, sorry, before we get going, I need to ask you. We're in a pub. This is what we ask first. I need to ask you, Joshua, what are you drinking?
Oh, I like to start. I'm taking this seriously the way I would normally drink, right? Ooh. In a pub. So I always have a very solid system, right? I do 2 beers to mix with the blokes, right? And then I move swiftly into gin and tonic. So you catch me halfway through beer 1, which is a Stella Artois, I believe you call it in the French world. Stella Artois, and then we'll move on to gin and tonics after the next one after that. What are you guys drinking?
Yes, I love that you have a formula for your night out. That's and I love it. Anything, and I'm also not risky. Surprised. Routine is all about routine. Well,
after that. That's the risk.
Well, so I'm drinking the bastard love child of your drink, which is the Aldi version called Saint Etienne. So this is the estranged child of the drink that you're drinking. And Baz, what you on?
Well, I thought I'd be a bit cheap. From the first episode, we had drinks that we didn't like. I had drinks I didn't like, and also I had a drink I had had for 30 years. So I'm sticking with brandy tonight. It might go wrong. So
there you go.
You might have to cut me off at some point because it went wrong last time.
So. Baz, your audio's still very quiet. You need to keep monkeying around with your cables or whatever. Well, anyway, in the meantime, I'll have a conversation with Josh. Sorry, Joshua. Do you prefer Joshua, don't you?
But I do prefer Joshua, yeah, but I realise that the nature of that name is no one ever listens to me. So I would be perfectly acceptable if you call me Josh. I wouldn't really mind.
Okay.
I'm trying to slowly put the world in the direction.
If you prefer Joshua, I will endeavour to keep calling you Joshua. So, right, I just want you to talk us through from your perspective. Like I say, I've seen you go from I don't know how many followers you had in
I think I had about
May last year.
In May. I probably had about 50,000 followers in May.
Yeah, so I've seen you go from there to
we're nearly
I think last I saw was 997,000 followers. I'm going to say that again. 997,000 followers. I'm just glad, to be honest, Joshua. I'm glad we've managed to get you on this podcast because as soon as you hit that, you're already verified.
As soon as I hit the mill, you won't.
And as soon as you hit that 1 million, that I'm fully expecting you to not return my messages, and that's it. I'll have to I'll have to converse with you through your people and all that kind of
There'll
stuff.
be
So
people. Oh, there'll be layers of people. I want layers and layers of people before you get to me.
so Joshua, for everybody for everybody's benefit, can you just talk us through from your perspective?
Yeah.
Coming from, I mean, you started on TikTok in January 2020, and now you're on the verge of 1 million followers. Talk us through that.
I think it was pretty crazy, really. I mean, luckily, I've always felt, basically, when I found TikTok, I already had Instagram, and I was kind of trying to do some stuff with cubes, but it wasn't really taking off, even though I luckily made a connection with Rubik's that I didn't realize how important that would be. But in fact, it wasn't really happening for me at all until TikTok. And the reason that I found TikTok, I decided to basically throw myself at it, was because TikTok automatically has sound on, right? And that is 100% for me what I think is the most important thing, because I basically just think that my voice is my actual talent. To some degree, I feel like I need to be able to converse to kind of get things across. So at the moment I figured that out, I thought, right, here's a chance to just speak gibberish and things I care about. And I really think that was the magic that made me go, right, TikTok is it. And luckily I walk to work, and I work in central London, so I had these beautiful walks, and I thought, well, on these walks I can think of facts and things I care about. And I just thought, well, TikTok needs educational. Let's use my voice. And I just basically I literally passed Buckingham Palace on the way to work. So I thought, well, I'll explain that little flag that I'm passing as I pass Buckingham Palace. And like those things just started to go, well, actually people want educational stuff. And that was kind of what like drew me in the sense that I kind of just thought, well, this is really working for me. It's really working for me to kind of tell people things that I already know, or even if I don't know, I think it's completely reasonable to just show stuff that you kind of care about. And I became this crazy Londoner walking around with a mug, like you remember me walking around with a mug.
That's how I remember you first. You were walking through central London with a mug of tea, talking about facts and things about England. It was brilliant.
Yeah, the mug was a strange decision, and the decision actually started with this mug, right? Because we went into lockdown, and I decided that I still needed to be out and about because my room is disgusting. Until I had all these cubes, I was like, well, I don't know what to do. I need to be outside. I need lighting. I need all this stuff. And I thought, well, I want to be outside, but it's not quite legal to be outside. So I thought, look, if I have a tea, at least I can infer that I'm just outside my house, which the majority of the time I was. And also it's conversational. It's a bit like this, it's conversational in that style. And I thought, well, that's a good medium to get into. And then as lockdown eased, the first lockdown, I thought, well, this tea has become synonymous with me, really. I've got no choice but to take it out and about. And I really would buy a tea and put it in this cup. And then I'd be in the middle of London with this mug, sitting there like a crazy man. I don't know how people would look at me thinking, where did he get that tea? How is this possible? But I just thought also the Britishness is a good thing to grasp onto, because for two reasons. One, we know Americans love Brits to a degree, and also because I wanted to I just think that other Brits might be like, oh, I can relax with this guy a little bit. So I think the tea was my real thing. But then I very quickly realized that I couldn't continually make content like this. I couldn't continually think of facts before those facts become other people's facts that aren't good anymore, that aren't fresh anymore, and aren't actually me, that I care about. And the facts kind of, like anyone who's trying to make content out there, you all of a sudden go, oh God, I'm just failing into something. I just need to find a way to move this along. So then I just thought, well, let's start using my actual gift, which is these Rubik's cubes and these contacts I've kind of made, and let's just go really crazy. And I do have some gadgets and things. I thought I'll show people some games, and I just thought, what, this is a direction. And it's not only because educational stuff is hard to create, and it's actually because if I ever want to make a living out of this world, then I need to have something that's almost sellable. So if I do products, then there's almost a way in the future that I can make some money. And it was always about, I would like it to be forever. So it's got to be a way of financially surviving and still just having fun. So it became move into gadgets, move into puzzles, move into something that's a bit quirky that I can just explain, as well as doing educational on the side. And I think that combination of educational and satisfying puzzle solution was it's kind of at the moment a kind of winning formula, I think, on TikTok, in the sense that they want it to be educational. They don't want girls dancing as much anymore. I know it works, but they want to move a little bit away from that, I think. And I can't strip and dance, so
you could.
Well, there's definitely no dancing going on with us three anyway. I don't think we're Certainly 12 months ago, if you'd have said, what's your average TikToker? I don't think there's any faces on this podcast that would fit the bill on that one.
Absolutely.
I think the closest to dancing is Baz. Baz takes his top off quite a lot, don't you, Baz?
Quite a lot. I've reined it in a bit now. I'm sorry about the sound. I can't get it any louder. This is on 100%, so I should just have to come in closer to here. People say that Josh's sound is a bit low as well. So.
Oh no, is mine low as well?
I've turned you both up as well as I can, but as long as we can be heard. So Joshua, so talk us through the kind of what were the big kind of pivotal events in your progression from, let's say, May last year on 50,000 followers to today, I will repeat, on the verge of 1 million followers.
I know. I actually don't know what it's almost like. You kind of remember it as and you probably feel similar because like you guys have had big hits. Baz had a big one recently, but which way is doing this? Baz had a big one recently. We've got to look the opposite way. Baz had a big one recently.
Really confusing.
It's a bit like that. I kind of remember them as bigger waves of all of a sudden, here you go, here's a video that popped. And it's almost like they act as almost like knots in a string of memories, like those videos that actually kind of popped, I would say. So the big one, a bigger-ish one that I had was I literally just explained why the Queen doesn't need a number plate. Like, she doesn't need a number plate. It's in her name. She can't break the law. There's no point putting a number plate on her car. It just doesn't have any logic to it. So like that and things like that. So that's the first kind of hurdle. And then you actually kind of have... that's how I feel like it is. It's a string of weird memories with big videos. You know, when I first realized I could melt metal, I don't know if either of you have seen me melt metal down, but I had this phase where, and I still do it occasionally. In fact, I've got one here.
I do remember that. I vaguely remember that.
So this is actually a TARDIS that I made out of gallium. Gallium is a metal that melts at 30 degrees Celsius right into liquid. So if I hold this for too long, it will melt. So I've got to put it down, right? But my first video ever, I bought an ice cube tray and I just melted things into ice cube trays. And because it's quite satisfying to watch liquid metal move and you can put it in your hand and it's not bad for you or anything, so that's kind of like the next string in the line. So it's almost like talk about the Queen. Then I found this thing about melting metal. And then after that, it was about, right, I can actually do other stuff other than just like a fact, a story. And that's almost when that moment pushed me over the edge and I thought, all right, look, this is the geekiest thing ever. I just made an X-Wing. It was an X-Wing from Star Wars. I made an X-Wing. I thought, this is geeky. This is gadgety to a degree. I thought, well, let's just go into my gadget world and see what happens if I really push this stuff. So I think that was the hurdle. And also, it got me into something called the Creative Learning Fund for TikTok, right? So I don't know, you might know about it, you might not, but Learn on TikTok as a hashtag is a really big thing that TikTok's really pro. You know, they're really trying to move into educational. And earlier on last year, there was a fund, I don't know if it still runs, I assume it does, that TikTok put a lot of money into educational stuff. So they literally started bringing up creators that were new and paying them a little bit per post. So that video of melting that metal down got me into a place where TikTok knew who I was. And that got to a spot that really helps. Like, that really helps in the sense that it was like, oh, that guy. So I got into a little bit of a routine where I was making them videos a month, and that is hugely supportive. And you know what's really odd? How, that I probably had just over 100,000 followers at the time when I got that. So it wasn't about, and there's lots of people that I know now that are in a similar fund. So I think TikTok was trying to grab people before they become something and trying to support them, which actually is amazing. I'm surprised they did that. I don't think Instagram would do that. I don't think YouTube would do such a thing anymore. So that's that. I don't know if this thing, it won't be forever, obviously, but it was a really supportive, and it made me go, no, I have to make this many videos. So I just went mad on them. I went absolutely mad. And I think I've only been supported by lockdown. If I didn't have a lockdown, my life wouldn't be like this. It's a weird double-edged sword. I'm one of those freaky people that's really gained out of all this awful experience for the rest of the world. I've really gained because I've been forced to just create permanently. And if you just keep going, it just keeps it eventually works, weirdly. So I think that was another big hurdle, is getting from them, getting some attention. And then the final hurdle, I would say, in my kind of journey is when I was asked by Rubik's and Red Bull and TikTok in the middle to do a hosted live, to do one of those featured lives where they put a banner at the top of their TikTok page and they're like, hey, Joshua Cubed is with an athlete from Red Bull, an amazing woman called Ruby, who's an Israeli basketball player. And I just basically had to teach her some Rubik's Cube stuff. And the great thing about that is, you know, that TikTok is watching. You know, physically they're there waiting for it to go wrong, you know, to pull the plug. So that is essentially, if and people often want to know how you get the tick, how you got noticed. And I think that moment there, I think they decided that I handled it well enough that they just kind of either gave it to me, or Rubik's asked nicely, or I think that was kind of the cusp. I think it was about, and that was it. That's the magic, really. And they're the kind of, I would say they're the 3 hurdles. 2 videos that make you go, okay, and then TikTok's recognition, and then from then on, I've just been replicating the formula as best I can over and over again, you know, and finding new formulas of the same thing. So I think that's really it in my TikTok journey, if I can imagine, if that helps. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love seeing it, and it's really interesting to hear your perspective of it, because, like I say, I've seen it from the kind of viewer's perspective, and just seen it one after the other. Because even this year, I mean, at the turn of the year, you were, was it about 500,000 or something like that?
Yeah, I think Christmas, when Christmas came, I had something like 590. So basically, it was very close to 600, and I remained around there. I had been around there for about a month and a half before it, actually. I made very little growth in December, when you'd think that me, a product toy guy, would do great in December. Nothing happened for me. It was very strange. But then literally in January, the time where I would consider, I'd kind of taught myself that nothing's going to happen in January. January's a dead season. Nothing's going to happen. But all of a sudden, this massive lift came. And it was kind of all at once with everything I was doing. It wasn't really like, that's the big hit. It just kind of was everything was lifted. I was very lucky, I think. I don't really know how it happened, but January and early February was just huge. Because if you guys are creators, and I'm sure you feel the same, but it really snowballs. All of a sudden you're like, so what's happening? And then nothing's going on. As in, like, nothing's going on at all. Nobody's watching you. I mean, nobody's watching you. Like, it really does happen. And it hits you hard, because I'm used to getting like, I'm used to 1,000 views in the first 10 minutes or something. You get used to a style, or like and then all of a sudden you go, 7 people have watched this in 15 minutes, and you start panicking, like, what have I done wrong? Does the world want to stop me? Who from TikTok hates me? And you plan these things in your head that just aren't possible. I don't understand it, but that is genuinely what happens to me all the time.
I definitely don't understand it. I mean, it's actually the 1-year anniversary of me posting my first video on TikTok.
Congratulations,
today. So that's why we're in the pub. And again, lockdown for me was just like, without lockdown, I wouldn't be here. And to be honest, my first video went really well. My very first video got 145,000 views in a week. And if that hadn't have happened, honestly, I don't think I'd be here, because I certainly wouldn't be with you two, and certainly I wouldn't be on TikTok even. I was only on TikTok to keep an eye on what my kids were up to and see that it was okay. Because I'd never heard of it, so I just wanted to make sure it was okay and things like that. And yeah, I posted a video of I was cutting my son's hair, and I couldn't find a water sprayer, so we used the one off the steam iron, because it was the only thing that sprayed water in the house. Yeah. And like I said, that got like 140,000 views in about a week. And that kind of spurred me on to do it. But yeah, when you were saying before, it just kind of, you end up kind of getting wrapped up in how many views have I got, how many likes have I got, why didn't that one work, that one did work, and you've just got to try and kind of reverse away from that. Because I remember I did a video where there was a guy in Parliament, in the Irish Parliament, stood up and basically was reassuring kids that Santa was seen as a key worker, so he was definitely going to come. We didn't have to social distance, all that kind of stuff. I saw that on Twitter. I basically just lifted it from that politician's Twitter, put it on TikTok, and just said, it's the first time I've ever done that. Just lifted a video and put it on. And I just put, how wholesome is this, and things like that. And it's on 3.4 million views now. Which is just
this might be the reason unreal. I follow you. You know. When was this?
It was just before Christmas. It was late November, early December, I think.
I think that could be the one, because I definitely saw that. So I definitely
saw it. So I put that on, and then, you know, like you're saying, there's no kind of logic behind each one. I've gone back and gone looking through which ones went well, and so I've had a good look at it. I've used the year as a kind of a retrospect, look back in retrospect and try and figure out some things. Well, that video is currently on 3.5 million views. The one immediately after it is still on 2,460 views. So it's That's just weird. Like, where did all those people go?
So weird.
Brilliant. So you mentioned before about the Rubik's ambassador thing. Can you talk us a bit through that? I'm really interested in, what is that? How did it come about? What does it look like?
So I think I was a bit of when I was kind of for a year and a half before TikTok, I was kind of pushing on Instagram to at least try and be do something involved. I wanted to be connected to Rubik's Cubes because I know them well enough. It's something that I've always had on the side as a background thing that I just kind of do, or a party trick. And I just was showing some stuff on Instagram, and I kept tagging them in it and trying to get their attention. And actually, something happened in my life in terms of theatre. I was very much thinking about leaving theatre completely, like get out. And I was like, what would I do on this earth outside of theatre? Because I can't do a real job. I just can't do a real job. So I was like, what can I do outside of theatre? And I just kind of got this idea that, I would work for Rubik's. That's a company I could sit behind a desk and I could work for Rubik's. I kind of just had this thought that I could do that. So I started kind of hounding them a little bit, being like, if you need people to create stuff for you, and I got an email, and I started just continuously kind of annoying them a little bit. And I don't know if I wasn't annoying them because I would always step back and leave it a month and then try again or something. But I think that eventually I said, look, I can create content for you, and I've got these great ideas. And I luckily got to meet the head of marketing. Essentially, they invited me to come and help them build something massive, 1,600 cubes of Prince Harry's face. It was amazing. And they made me to come and it was beautiful. At the time, he was Prince Harry, and I had to build this giant thing for them, and it got me a good time to kind of chat to them. And eventually, I was lucky enough before I'd even started TikTok, they offered me this position of ambassador, which basically means I create content for them, and they post it, and it could help me grow on Instagram. And I said yes to this, but then all of a sudden, bang, TikTok kind of exploded, and I became incredibly useful to them in lots and lots of ways. And I was being invited in more, and then they were eventually asking me kind of which direction to create content in. And I just got kind of lucky enough that I said, I'll take an ambassador. Sounds like the right role, because I don't want to sound like I completely work for you. I don't want to sound like I completely represent you in every decision. So I can have a drink now and not be like, and not be the face that shouldn't have a drink kind of thing. So I just kind of thought that was a good position to be in, it got basically what also comes with the job is I get a whole bunch of Rubik's cubes, which I thought would be useful as a backdrop, because I told you I was always on the streets with the cube. I was always in the streets with my mug, and it was because of lighting, and it was because of the set. And I actually thought, if you give me enough cubes, I can create a portrait style backdrop that I can continually change, and that's bound to do something for me. So having the support of a brand like that has been completely instrumental in all of my growth, because it means that it slightly justifies what is actually an insane thing that I do. It justifies what is bonkers, because people always ask me, like, how much did you spend on this wall? And I'm like, thank God I spent barely nothing on this wall. I wouldn't have a bed if I didn't buy this. If I bought this wall, it would be quite expensive. So I just think that I was lucky enough to kind of be offered this position, and after a lot of work, and I was more than happy to say yes to it. And I think as long as they'll let me be, I think I will be one, because I just want to be connected with this item that I adore. I think it's a good thing to be part of. As much as I can, I'm always trying to be the face, the face of Rubik's now. One day I'll get there, I think.
There you go.
But bonkers.
That's amazing. Well, you're the only brand ambassador of Rubik's that I've ever seen or have heard of, so you definitely must be the face of.
There are a few in this world. Interestingly, they're usually people who are really good with the cube. I know you think I am very good with the cube, but I'm good in my own way. I do other things. I've never competed, because there's competitions all around the world constantly. It's a big deal, surprisingly, and the fastest ever solve is 3.5 seconds, right? Mine is 14 seconds, 1-4, so many times longer. So that's why I've never competed. It's never been about that.
Do you do it with your eyes shut or behind your back or something? How can you be doing that? I mean,
I can do it behind my back.
I could do the maths. That's 4 times slower.
Yeah, it's 4 times slower. You see, and it's not good enough. It's not good enough. So that's why I don't compete. I was like, I'm going to find other ways to be an ambassador. I'm going to create. I'm going to build. I'm going to do magic or whatever I can do. And I think that kind of got their attention more. I think I annoy Rubik's cubers. People who are really good, I annoy, because they're like, I'm better than that guy. How is he getting all this Rubik's attention? I'm better than that guy. So I get a lot of angry 14-year-old boys, to be honest, who just hate everything I do. But I don't mind. It's a good way around. I think it should prove to people you don't have to be the best at something to be involved in it. Like, you can find other ways to be the best at it.
Listen, I looked back at your first post from January 2020, and it was where you obviously remember it, but it was where you were kind of tumbling a cube down like that, and you call it waterfall. So it's solved at the top, and as you're bringing it down, you change it, and then it becomes solved again. So, yeah, and I've also seen you kind of throw one up in the air, and it becomes solved.
Yeah,
is that a skill of yours, or is that a trick cube?
It's a real.
Are you going to get kicked out? I don't want you to get kicked out of the Rubik's circle or whatever it is. But if you're allowed to tell us,
I'm always super glad to tell people it's a real cube. It's a real cube every time. It's always a real cube. People use fake cubes, and there's all sorts of things you can do. And I actually don't have any of that. I don't have any of that stuff. I was kind of obsessed with the fact that it would be real. I mean, I can show you it if you want. I don't know if you want me to show you the waterfall.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everybody wants to. So while you're looking for that, I'm just going to read a couple of comments out. I'm going to bring my favourite one. Let me scroll back to it.
Can you hear me?
Not very well at all, mate. We need to try and sort out what. Oh, here we go. I've got. Here we go, Joshua. This is my favourite comment from the comment section so far, and we need an answer to it.
Wow.
Julian says, Joshua is so personable and engaging. Is he up for adoption? I have room. So you were saying how your room was horrible. It sounds like there's an offer here.
It does sound like I do need a new room, to be honest. Only if there's. I will not. Here it is. If it hasn't got this kind of roof, which annoyingly stops where I can put Rubik's cubes, then I'm in. Basically, I'm absolutely in. This slanting roof gets in my way all the time. But I'm honoured. Thank you very much. Personable and engaging is all I can aim for. Thank you very much.
Personable and engaging is why you've been on our TikTok quiz twice, and I've asked you to come on here for exactly that reason.
I'm too chatty.
Okay.
Too chatty. Tell me
no.
Tell me if I speak too much.
Listen, that is what this is about. This is we're here in the pub and we're having a chat. So one more thing that I want to talk to you about, and then we'll get into kind of a three-way conversation sort of thing. Once everybody's been introduced properly to you, is something I'm really interested in, because I know you, as in we've had a number of conversations and you've been on the quiz a couple of times, so I've virtually spent some time with you. But one thing I haven't got much information on, other than Book of Mormon, is what's your day job? Talk us through your day job. It sounds amazing.
I have the weirdest job in the world, and there's only two people that do it. Me and my colleague Steve. So I actually work for I have such a strange life, really. I've had loads of jobs in theatre, including acting sometimes if I've been lucky enough. But majority of my life has always been find a way to speak, to speak loudly and get people's attention in theatre in some degree. I've got a really interesting other one that I do, but my main job is for the Book of Mormon, and I'm hoping it returns. I genuinely have no idea if they're going to offer me this job back, but it started in America a few years ago when this show exploded and got so sold out every day for a decade. It's a big show, the Book of but what they do every day is a publicity stunt, essentially, is outside a big tombola. There's a big golden tombola, and then there's me standing there, and my job description is genuinely, I'm allowed to be rude, I'm allowed to be offensive, and I'm allowed to stop people from playing if they're rude to me. So I love this because that's it. I'm supposed to embody the kind of style of the show, which is that this show is made by the same guy who made the show South Park. So that's the kind of area we're in, we're in abusive. I mean, I'm not abusive, but we're in an area that's definitely touches some dark issues. Somehow it gets through it. But what people do is they write their name on a little leaflet. It's free to play, and then you fold it in half, and you put it in a big barrel. And then 2 hours exactly before every musical, every night of the show, or the earlier ones too, 2 hours exactly before, I just appear through these doors, and I burst these doors open, and I stand on these steps, and I basically scream and shout and make a noise, and I pull out names, and if your name comes out, you get 2 tickets in the front row that night for £20, whereas the row behind you is paying 150, 160. I'm not trying to plug the show, guys, by the way. I'm not trying to plug it in any way, because I don't even know if I'm going back.
Go ahead, plug away. It's not TV, you can do what you like.
Yeah, it's not TV. But I love that job, because that job is fairly short, as in I only actually need to go in for an hour and a bit a day if it's just one show. And I just get to show off and meet people for a living. I mean, obviously it means that I'm sometimes just out on the street in the freezing cold in February and nobody wants to play my stupid game. But in the summer, and all these Americans fly in and people from Thailand and all sorts of things. And we get to about 200 people in the street, 300 people sometimes. And I have to and it becomes really fun. And do you know the worst thing about the job, though? I can't read anyone's name out. It's so hard. They're always like, and this is not an offense, I genuinely read this name all the time out. Zi Pao Ting. Like, I can't say these words. I don't know how to, or like, it'll be like or Irish names. Irish names are the killer. I cannot say an Irish name. So my job is my job is to read out names, and I just fail at every single one of them. And I get laughs and all sorts of stuff, but I adore my job. And I think it kind of, it's sort of in the same vein as why I'm okay at TikTok. I have no fear of just screaming and making a fuss and playing with words. I have no problem with just being an idiot, really. And I adore that job, and I really hope I get to go back to it. Even though I think I'll get people on TikTok filming me now, which will be weird.
There you go. Well, I've got Gillian has just said that she had tickets for Book of Mormon last year, and she's been told it's going to be July 22.
Yeah. Really? Well, they have actually July 22. That's interesting. So they must have reissued tickets on a place they definitely know that's going to happen. But realistically, they are set to open it this year in July. But if they're not talking to me or they're not talking to anyone, and they fired most people in the world, like most people around it, I don't have much hope that it's coming back. But if it was to come back, I would definitely be there. But yeah, I'm not surprised. They would have had to reissue hundreds of tickets for next year, I would have thought. But that's the way theatre has really had such a really bad crumble. Everyone I know has lost their job, and I mean everyone I know.
Apparently that's for Aberdeen.
Ah, yeah, that makes sense. There's a tour as well. So occasionally I get sent out for that. So I went to.
I was going to say, if you got the gig to go to Aberdeen,
I might do. Sometimes. So they sent me to Bristol last year and somewhere else before that, to just do the exact same thing and teach the ushers there how to take over and do my job. And then I go back to London and do it there in London. So I've had the luck of kind of weirdly, I get to tour with a show, but just go for a couple of days, show up, do a few minutes of bonkersness, not do a real show, no one can tell me off, and then go home again. I really have quite an easy. I was very lucky to get this job. I was very lucky to get that job.
Just a minute, Baz. I think your audio might be okay now. You cleared your throat and it came through clear as day.
Well, I took off the microphone. I'm now speaking through the computer.
Oh,
so much for tech.
Absolutely crystal clear.
The 500 quid was well worth it.
In the microphone, it's absolutely, that wasn't money well spent, like my 20 quid UV light. Not UV. What's it called? LED. Yeah. Look, I've got a blue room. I'm an official TikToker, but also because we're in a pub, if I press this button, I can go. Oh, I can go disco.
Disco's begun.
Right, can I show you guys something? I said earlier that Josh was upside down.
Yeah.
This is literally what I'm seeing. There he is. He's upside down.
Upside down.
That's what I'm seeing. I've no idea why. It's brilliant though.
It should be the right way around.
It is.
So, can someone in the comment section tell us is Joshua upside down on the because if he is on the actual podcast, then this is like. Well, if he is upside down, every time he looks up to see us two, he's been looking down. So that's just going to be.
I think it's only mine that's doing it, because I think everyone else would have said so.
No, he's the right way up. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much, guys. Right, we had a question through. I didn't ask for questions, but we got some anyway. So, chuck through some questions for Joshua. I'll dig out the one that. Here we go. We have one here from Keith, who is one of our TikTok regulars. He says, "What's Joshua's favourite historical place in London?"
Tricky one. That is interesting, because it's a good question. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that question. That is a good one. It's a tricky one in many ways. I think I think the answer is twofold. Sorry. As with most things in the world,
I thought it would be.
I can't. I think it's always too many layers. But I have to say that I love Buckingham Palace so much. I love Buckingham Palace. I don't know what it is. I'm not the biggest. I like the royal family, but I'm not a full royalist or anything. But when I've been around that palace, and I've been around it twice, every time I've been like, this is amazing. This is mind-blowingly amazing. And I get all nostalgic and I get a little bit teary and I think, why am I so teary about this beautiful palace? So that is actually, if you want me to my standard answer, that is my standard answer, is Buckingham Palace. I adore that place. And when it's open, it's just so cool. It's just so cool. But my actual answer for what I feel is about theatre. And it's because I worked in theatre for 8 years in one theatre. And this theatre was built as a love letter to a woman. It's called Wyndham's Theatre. And it was literally built by a man called Sir Charles Wyndham, right? And he was on stage an actor, and he owned it, and he was a lord, and he writes stuff. Like, this is just a guy who wants to do everything. But he had a mistress, and his mistress was also a lady from another person. So that he built this theatre for her. Everyone in society knew they were sleeping together, and he built this theatre. So all around this theatre, there's symbols of both of them, her and him, everywhere. In fact, there's 2 urns when you walk in that are him and her. And this theatre is it's so quirky and so beautiful, and I know it more than I know anything in the world, any place on earth, because I know the back corridors to sneak around when you want to run away from someone, and I know the hiding place you'd go if there was a attack or something. That theatre is like riddled with history as a listed building, and that theatre is like one of my favorite places on earth. So I just think that is my real answer in terms of my favorite historical place in London. It's just not everyone's, so that's why I gave you twofold.
Well, Joshua, I'm going to tell you something now, is that when travel restrictions ease, I've said often on TikTok, I'm going to travel around the UK, and the idea will be to kind of encourage people to get out within the UK, staycation, support small businesses, get back up and running, and do it a bit like, I'm nowhere near as funny as Carl Pilkington, by the way. I'm not suggesting I am, but similar to An Idiot Abroad, but that, so entertaining, but also you get to see things, because I've got a fair few followers from the States, and they're always saying like, oh, where should we visit in the UK? And they always say, if you go into the UK, if you've got 2 weeks to see the UK, don't stay in London for a week. I know you're biased towards London because you live there, but I always say do a little bit. So what I want to do is I want to meet with kind of quirky characters in different places and go and see things off the beaten track. So I'm going to hold you. I'm now live on the internet going to say, like, you will be one of the quirky characters shouting outside your out the Book of Mormon, and also we'll go to the Wyndham Theatre as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll come along for that as well.
Yeah, come. London is,
absolutely,
I agree. You're
absolutely.
Right. You shouldn't just go to London, but London is something incredible. I'm too biased, I think. I'm always going to promote London.
So someone in the chat section just Keith in the chat section has just asked my wife if she would trust the building if I built it.
She does say you're good with a hammer, though.
Well, exactly. Yeah. To be fair, I've I don't know whether I'm brave enough to pick up my I've basically, in the thing where I've redone this room, I've built myself out of wood a thing where my monitor sits on top of it, the microphone sits in it and stuff. I'll do a TikTok about it. You can that's not for now. So
it's the headquarters.
Yeah, exactly. It's amazing. Molly asked if the Queen got her own stuff from the kid. You were talking about Buckingham Palace. My 13-year-old daughter earlier today said it must be a pain living in a house that big, because imagine if she's gone to bed and she wants something from the kitchen. It'll take her ages to get there. I was like, she's never been in her kitchen.
Or got us to have a sandwich.
Yeah, it's an immediate button and it's there within 2 minutes, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. Right, let's find another question. We've got we've got this one. Did you go to musical theatre school?
Okay, yeah, a good one. So when people are, I went to a drama school, an accredited drama school, and we do. So all the dramas, there's loads of drama schools. There's probably like 10 proper accredited drama schools, including the big ones you've heard of, like RADA another one called Lambda. But I when I was 18, I auditioned for all of them. I auditioned mostly for straight acting because I decided that I wasn't good enough at singing. So even though I prefer musicals, I honestly prefer musicals, I thought I wasn't good enough. So I just decided, let's do acting. And I went to what is now called the Royal Birmingham Conservatoire, which is Birmingham, basically. And I went to there because I actually lived in Selly Oak, which is a place where my parents lived at the exact same age as me, the road down. So I was like, this is fate. I've got to go there. I've got to go there. And I'm really glad.
It's quite posh there, isn't it?
Selly Oak, I think it was posh. And then you're thinking of Solihull.
I am.
Selly Oak is by Birmingham University, and it's kind of cool, but it's so student heavy that it's basically fried chicken and clubs. But I was happy for it at the time.
Sounds like heaven.
So I went to a drama school. We did straight acting, but it was 9 till 6, Monday to Friday, super intense every day for 3 years. And we did so much musical theatre, that that's why I kind of now I just sing and do stuff, because they kind of made me sing and dance. And I was like, okay, so now I'm more than happy to sing, as you've probably seen before, maybe. But I'm more than happy to show off and sing and all sorts of stuff. So I did go to a drama school, and I'm glad I did.
Back in the days when your TikTok lives were more than just shut the box.
Yeah, well, they are more, but it just makes sense to let people. I don't do it I can't shut the box every day. My heart just breaks. The loss is painful. I try and do it every 2 or 3 days, shut the box. But today I had 3,500 people watch it. 3,500 people watch it live. I've never had such a thing before. Ever.
And that's the thing, is that I've seen that. I love your lives, and I love you and your personality and everything you do and all that kind of stuff. And I was looking at you, and you're 900,000 followers or whatever. And when you were doing a live to like 65 people or something, and I was just like, I don't get it. And then I noticed that when you do shut the box, it's just like big numbers.
Explodes,
I was like, mate, you're just literally like all the time. It's just absolutely nuts, isn't it? I've thought about doing. I've got a putting mat. And a golf putting mat. I was like, I'm just going to do that one day. I'm just going to put my phone down and just go, right, because I've got 4 golf balls that are each different. Like I've got there's a basketball, a tennis ball. I was like, which one's going to go in and all that kind of stuff.
I think, look,
honestly, I'll get thousands for that. Me chatting. Yeah, it's a little bit. I was going to say that me chatting just doesn't get the audience, and then in the realization that 3 weeks ago I started a podcast with my mate Baz. So.
Actually, I wanted to ask Josh about. I was watching your live earlier, and obviously you finished the evening saying I'm going to do one song,
and then I do.
And then you got bullied by your audience into.
I constantly get bullied into more songs.
So what I wanted to ask you is, like, you appeared to be looking at a lot of those songs and just literally for the first time reading the music, and so those songs, you're literally reading the music and the words off a sheet or off your iPad.
Yeah, I'm reading them in.
I was amazed by it.
So basically, like everything I do, I basically try and get to a level where I'm happy with the skill, and then I abandon that skill.
Okay.
And in fact, Rubik's Cubing is the same. I haven't got any better in a couple of years. Like, I haven't got any better with Rubik's Cube. But the piano, a few years ago, I decided to just teach myself chords, basic chords, the same way a guitarist might just, let it be perfectly, a few chords, nice and simple. And I taught myself that. And I thought, well, let's try. So basically, you're seeing me do the same thing over and over again, where I just read a chord above some lyrics, and then I sing it as best I can. And I just kind of tinkle and hope for the best. And the more I've done it off camera, the better I've got, to a point where I think, okay, I can show people. And look, I've usually, when people ask me for a song, it's likely that I've done that before. Likely. So it's not the first time, but often it is. Like, earlier on today was a couple of songs that was the first time. And that's why they are rough and silly. And I kind of laugh my way through them as well. Like,
well, I loved how you were pressured into doing driver's license. You didn't want to do it, and then you said, "No, I'm not doing it." And then you said, "No, I'll do it."
It's because I always think, "No, I might be able to do it this time." I can't do driver's license. I can't do the opening few seconds, and that's got me many times. And it got me again today, so I'm not being bullied into it again. Let it be heard now. I'm not being bullied into driver's license again. I keep failing at it, but there you go. And I am lucky enough that I think I'm musical enough. Like, my sister and me have always liked to sing. I'm musical enough that I can kind of do that, but if you give me real music, or like you ask me to play even like the Star Wars theme, I won't be able to do it. I can only just do a background to whatever I'm over the top singing. And when it's bad, I just sing louder. Just sing louder. No one will notice.
Joshua, from what I know of you, I don't believe for a minute you can't play the Star Wars theme.
Yeah.
I actually can't, I could probably guess. I can guess, but I can't.
That'd take me about 4 hours to get that far. Come on. Okay, I've got right. We got another question. I saw one come through from. Hold on a second. One from Pubman Dan, who incidentally is next week's special guest, by the way. Pubman Dan. He took over. He took over a pub, I believe, just before lockdown, and he's took it upon. He's the general manager, and he's took it upon himself during lockdown to just rip the insides out and start again. So, will be what more fitting story to listen to in this virtual pub that we have. And he's going to come live from the pub as well. So that'll be quite interesting. So anyway. Apart from Book of Mormon, what's your favourite West End show?
Thank you for putting the words apart from the Book of Mormon, so I don't have to slag it off because I do work there. So I'm gonna go with it's a trick. You know what? I'm gonna be a bit dull. I'm gonna go with the Phantom of the Opera. And you know what? Nobody ever says that. Nobody ever says that in the theatre world because they're like, ugh, it's been around for so many years. Oh, it's so old. But I love the Phantom of the Opera. I think it has a darkness and a creepiness, and it's set in a theatre, and that becomes the theatre that you're in. I think there's just an atmosphere, and I just think it's great. And once, I'm going to tell you the truth here, I once kissed someone that played Christine Daae. So because I kissed the main girl in Phantom of the Opera, I feel like that's tick bucket list.
Obliged now. That's it. Obliged. But that sounds like the when you get into a band and then they get you get some people who get into a band and then once they get commercially successful, they go, "Oh, I'm not listening to them anymore now." It's like I listened to them when they were cool.
They've sold out.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds like there's an element of that in the theatre world from what you're saying. It's like, I remember Phantom of the Opera before it was even written. Do you know?
But I was the only one watching it. Yeah.
And I love it because everyone in theatre, it's the same thing as almost any industry, but theatre is, I would say, exaggerated because all these people really want a job. They really, really want to work in theatre. They really want to be, in a musical, and they're really slagging off pantomime. And then all of a sudden you find them in Cinderella and they're the background just doing dances because it's great cash for everyone sells out just after they slag it off. And Phantom of the Opera is considered like an old piece of, it was the 80s boom in theatre. But it's still fantastic, and I think it's the same kind of thing. Once you're in it, once it's been too long and you're in the industry, you just kind of end up slagging off the old ones. But that's because they're on every day and they're still selling out. It's a brilliant show.
It's not going to be shit if it's been on for that long. Do you know what I mean? People don't, because word will get out. People will find out if it's crap.
Because even if it goes, right, it will definitely come back in 4 to 5 years and be the big return. So, and back then everyone would go, "Oh, it's so artistic now. I love the changes they made. It's the same music. It's the same show. Come on." It's the same thing. So
we've got a very different question now from Gillian. What do you like for breakfast, just in case this adoption goes through that we've been talking about?
Right. Gillian, if this adoption goes through, then you need to understand my very, very lazy schedule. Okay? So basically, for the life of me, most of my life, I can't wake up in the morning. Through school, I couldn't wake up. I still went to bed at 3 a.m. and I couldn't stop that. I've always been in this awful regime. And then once I started working in theatre, it just got enhanced. I was just an evening person. I'm a night person. So in fact, it means that me and breakfast, I never enjoy it. Not in the slightest, unless it's after like 11 or something, maybe.
So it's brunch, basically.
I can have a breakfast then, but until even in the morning, if I happen to be up at 8 a.m, I just can't eat. I'll just give me a tea and let me get normal. Let me get normal. Don't leave me alone until then. So you're gonna hate me, but I am fairly anti-breakfast. Even though kids, if you're watching, obviously it's the most important meal of the day. But for me, it does not happen and never happens anymore. I know, and it is a sore spot for partners I've ever had. They're always like, "Oh, I love breakfast," and I'm like, "I loathe breakfast. I'm not going to be there. I'm not going to be there."
So you're never going to do that romantic thing where you do breakfast in bed because you're just not going to be asleep, basically.
I did it exactly once, and we were in Paris, and I feel that was a good reason to get up. Until we were in Paris.
So Gillian's just said you're a match because clearly she doesn't do breakfast either.
Good. I'm glad. Well, there you go. Perfect. I'm not saying I wouldn't like pancakes in bed at 2 p.m, but
Yeah.
there we go.
Let me have a look. What else do we have?
So as part of the things we talk about often, we basically have a line of where's Mike been in the world, which actually apparently is everywhere now.
He has been everywhere, hasn't he?
Yeah. Have you been to New York?
Me?
Josh, have you been to New York?
No, never, not at all. Which is a real letdown. I really feel like I like cities. I travel to cities when I go to it. So yeah, of course you have. We know you have. We know you have. But I will go. I think. In fact, Rubik's headquarters for their gaming department has all moved to New York. So I feel like now there is something moving me over there. So I would have thought I will get to go. Hopefully, and then I'll be in Broadway. I'll be in Broadway, so hopefully I'll get to.
It's written in the stars. I mean, you're a Rubik's ambassador. You're knocking on the door of 1 million followers. Well, I mean, it seems to me like the only thing that Rubik's could do to celebrate you getting to 1 million followers is to take you to New York, right?
I absolutely.
When restrictions are eased and all that, obviously.
Absolutely, I feel like it's absolutely necessary for me to go to New York.
We did a live when Mike was close to 100,000 followers on TikTok, and it just so coincided that we were going to have maybe an hour live, and then we decided to see if we could stay on live until he reached 100,000. We did, and I was hoping if you were close enough to 1 million, we'd just stay on this until you reached.
It won't be like that, unfortunately, unless something crazy happens in the background. I think I might. So I know you can't really tell because all this can do it, but this here says 97%. It's backwards because I have to make it backwards for TikTok. It then goes forwards, but it's 97. So that's how far I am to it. I probably am at 98 now, but I would have thought I'm a week or so off, a couple of weeks.
You're 979,800. That's what you're on now.
See, well, I'm 200 away. Look, here's me gloating that I'm probably there. I'm 200 away.
Nah, round it up, mate. Round it up. It's all good.
If we round it up, we might as well just round it up to the mill and celebrate now.
Well, listen, Pubman Dan has just said, are you going to hit 98% on the wall tonight? So if you hit 98 while we're here, you need to change it here, not on TikTok.
Yeah, I'll change it. If we happen, I'll absolutely change it, yeah.
Right, we'll have to keep we'll have to keep a good eye on that then.
It might happen. I want more than change it.
Right. I think it might be time. We've done some questions for other people, right. And I think it might be time for me to get my coconuts out.
Actually, I think it is. I meant to say this last week, Mike. The good thing about those bowls is at some point, if you run out of questions, you could just pretend you're a horse, right?
I almost did it, but then these questions would have scattered everywhere. But yeah, for the people who weren't on last week, these are two bowls that are actually made of coconut. My wife loves them, but
show us the reason why they're rubbish.
Yeah, because see if I can tip my webcam down here. Right, if I can pour milk in that when your cereal's in it. It's ridiculous.
That sounds like a TikTok to me.
Oh, now then.
Trying to.
That's it. I can say how much I hate these bowls. And she's like, no, they're great. It's like, all right then. You pour cereal and milk in that while I flick the side of it. Right then. Yeah, we're gonna dig into these questions, and we'll all answer these.
Wait, so how does it work? Do we all answer these questions? Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, sure.
We don't know, Joshua. Come on, it's this is episode 3. We haven't got a clue what's going on yet.
I'm glad I'm here early. I wanted to be here early.
Yeah, exactly. So, do you know what? When this is like we said this last week, when this has got like 10 million viewers every time, you'll be able to go. Do you know what? I don't like that lockdown locking anymore. I liked it when it was good. Right at the start. Do you know what I mean?
Look at them.
Oh, look at them now! Like with their, with their with their multi-million-pound advertising deals. No, it was good when it was. It was good when it was pure. It was good when it was pure, and they were just doing it because they enjoyed it.
And we'll tell Morgan Freeman he's not as welcome as Josh was. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so where's your Rubik's wall, eh? You clown. Right. Okay, this question is: when you die, what do you want to be remembered for?
Ooh. Good,
Are we allowed to be schmaltzy here?
Sorry?
You can be what you want, mate. I don't even understand that word. Go on, Baz. You go first.
What do I want to be remembered for when I die? Well, I can do it now because I've had my first viral video and I'm quite happy now. Just thought it was never going to happen. We spoke about this last week, and Mike said to me afterwards, "Oh, it'll happen soon." So I'm surprised he hasn't been claiming glory for this. To be fair,
mate, it was just I watched it 1.4 million times. I just wanted to be right.
I think for me, I'd just like to be remembered as someone who was pretty decent and pretty nice, and was always cheerful. I always want to be that. So I don't want to be remembered for being miserable or too serious about anything in life. That'd be it. Like I said, schmaltzy.
It's all good. Joshua?
You know what? I think I want to be remembered for. I think I want to be remembered for. Basically, I always feel a great honor when someone has learned how to solve a cube directly from me. I always feel like it's something that's like, wow. I mean, it's like teaching someone to read. I didn't even know I did it. They go and watch a video and they learn from me. And I always feel like, wow. I mean, and sometimes I'll meet someone in the theatre world, and I've already taught someone else a Rubik's Cube, and then they have taught someone else the Rubik's Cube, and I go, I'm your Rubik's grandfather. I taught them and they taught you. And I like the idea that there's loads of people out there who remember what they know with this purely because of me. And I always really like that connection. I also want people to remember me as someone that was annoyingly right. That's it, you know, as in like he was right, but he was annoying when he was right every time. I want to be that guy too.
That's perfect.
Joshua, this is why we get on.
Go on, Mike. What's
that guy too? You're
my wife knows that's the same with me as well. She would hate me. She would love me to be wrong more often than I am. I don't gloat massively about it. I'm just really I mention it a lot, but you know, subtly but often, if you know what I mean. Do you know?
Yeah.
So, Mike,
wrong one day.
Mike, what would you want to be remembered for, Mike?
I want to be remembered for being that bloke who pissed off loads of people by badly slicing a ham sandwich.
Oh, that was going to be me for you.
I don't think there's anything. I don't think there's any better accolade in life than that. Is there? Right?
No, it's a great accolade. Great.
It was that series of things to deliberately doing things to irritate people. That Lad Bible got hold of it and posted it on Facebook, and that one video on Facebook has had more views than all of my 803 videos on TikTok.
Look,
What, is it 37 million?
Well, my stuff on TikTok has been viewed 37 million times, which is phenomenal. It's just a ludicrous amount, because I literally went through and added it all up today just because it's a year, like I said. I mean, I was getting kind of retrospective about the whole thing. So yeah, 37 million. But the Lad Bible one on Facebook has been watched 44 million times now. So the only thing I'm worried about from that is that once restrictions start to ease and once we no longer have to wear face masks, I'm just going to get someone drop kick me from a distance, like walking down the street, because I've pissed them off. I just think I'll be a marked man.
I like how Barry's most famous son will also be the most hated as well. So.
I think saying I'm Barry's most famous son is a bit of a stretch.
Well, you are in my eyes, so that's fine.
Yeah, exactly. But I'd say Robert Peel just comes a little bit higher than I. But,
yeah, but you never made a ham sandwich, so you can do one.
No, he didn't. No.
You know, there's a
Right,
way of
okay,
finding
let's
out
go for
how many
another one.
views you've got. You don't have to add up all the videos. There's ways. There's ways to find out how many views you've got. There's like websites.
How do I do it?
Oh,
How do I do it?
They do it for you.
Ah,
I'll
right,
I'll
you'll have
send
to.
you one.
Yeah, you'll have to message me. But to be fair, the sun was out. I was watching the dogs gallivanting in the garden at R6 this morning. I didn't mind adding it up myself.
Yeah, you
It's not
got to
like
go
you've got
through
anything else to
and
do,
see
is it?
what was good, see what was bad. You got to go through it and figure it
Yeah,
out.
exactly. Well, look, I've not worked since September. I'm looking for things to do every day anyway, so it's fine. Okay. No, that's rubbish. I did this last week. I picked one out and went, "Oh, that's rubbish." Like I didn't choose the ones that went in the first place.
It needs an audit, that poll.
Yeah. What's the most embarrassing fashion trend you used to rock?
Oh.
Well, I'll go first. And this is like
Yeah.
I'm mostly known for clothes.
You are literally the fashion correspondent of the lockdown lock-in.
So this one was a particular bad faux pas. I thought that I would bring back in about the early 2000s cycling shirts to go out in. I don't know why. It seemed like a good idea at the time, and I wore this shirt out on one evening, and all I got were people pretending to cycle past me up and down the high street when I was drinking.
Are they the super tight like athleisure?
Well, yeah, with a zip up neck as well.
Oh yeah, one of them.
Not quite lycra, but yeah, close to it.
Yeah.
And you know when your friends like rip you so badly that you think I'm not going to wear this again. I literally took that home and threw it out. Never wore it again.
I'm gonna.
Well done.
Okay, Joshua, you're next while I look for photographic evidence of mine.
Okay, I would say that when 10 years ago, there was a phase in which neon came back, and I would say neon came back in the sense that there was like neon cuff things people would wear, and like neon pink. Like remember that song "I Got a Feeling"? That whole song was about neon paint and neon. So I literally thought, let's go neon, and I really went neon, and I went neon for too long. Is the answer? Neon for like 2 years. And it was
2 years.
atrocious. And you know me, I'm always trying to stand out. I'm trying to show off. I'm trying to do something. That's kind of that. I guess that was my vague attempt at using block colours again to be cool in the club. And I was not cool in the club. I was just bright and visible in every direction. And if you see like one of those, if a UV light would come on, I would literally just like vroom, vroom, like glow in this room. So yeah, I went neon mad.
Well,
I might have evidence.
Yeah, I hope you can see it properly, but that's mine.
What are these Union Jack shorts?
Union Jack shorts. I think I'm 12 or 13 there.
Oh, that doesn't count.
I've got Union Jack shorts and a sleeveless top.
Yeah, sleeveless top.
What's the hat? Talk to me about the hat.
Well, the hat is again. This is another fashion faux pas. The hat is a bucket hat, but I've turned the back of it up to make it look slightly like a crap trilby. So,
what a guy! Love it.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking there.
Someone said earlier
I was thinking there. Right.
Someone said earlier that they thought my shirt was just drowning out my microphone.
I like the shirt.
There's every chance. There's every chance. Right. Okay. Let's go for another one.
I'm going to get myself a drink. Hold on. Carry on.
Okay. Just you and I, Joshua. We'll talk about him when he's gone.
I don't know if he
I thought he was going to go miles.
Oh, you need to tell us about that.
He didn't even leave our vision.
Well, my drinks are just behind me. I don't like to go too far from it.
No. Okay. Right. Let's see if we can get a good one here.
So we could do this on see, Josh, you can't do this on TikTok. You can't hold up a rum and just openly drink it.
Yeah, I know it's a pain. Yeah. It's difficult, all that.
Well, actually, they say you can't. I've done it on my live plenty of times, but like if you've only got 2 people watching, it's all right.
Yeah, I've done it quite a few times.
I've seen people openly drinking as well, but it's an excuse for idiots to report you and get you kicked off.
Yeah. I mean, I got reported for the word tantalising once. And I got banned from live for 24 hours for the word tantalising. which I've used since multiple times to prove that the word tantalizing is nothing. It's just a
Mate,
tease.
mate, now you've got a blue tick on TikTok. It's like, you can do what you like.
True.
Yeah.
So true.
There we go. Right. Okay, the last one out of this, out of coconut number 1. Have you ever been told you look like someone famous? If so, who was it?
It's irritating how often I get told constantly that I look like people all day, every day. And that is simply because people can't see past this box beard, right? People can't see past it. So anyone who's had a box beard at some point, I get referred to. I constantly get told I look like Tony Stark.
That was the next one, yeah.
Yeah, I constantly get that, which I completely
Is that Robert Downey Jr.?
Yeah, Robert Downey Jr., which I disagree with. I don't. So I've had. So I got asked it so often that I had I had to make a response.
I think they might be talking about me.
I had to constantly start saying I am Iron Man just to get round it. But yes, well, I am Iron Man out of the way because it happens so much. I also get Richard Hammond. I get Daniel Radcliffe quite a lot because I sound like Daniel Radcliffe. But yeah, they're the 3 I'd say I get the most.
I would have said Daniel Radcliffe if you asked me who I thought you looked like.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I like Daniel Radcliffe. You see, I'm okay with that.
Well, now he's a grown-up as well. So you look even more like him. So
yeah, exactly.
So, Baz, has anybody said you look like someone other than ZZ Top?
Well, Christmas obviously was very good for me because, and in the comments earlier with the chap who you ended up kicking off, he was referring to me being Father Christmas. So I'll take that all year round. The
half Malaysian version of Father Christmas.
Well, it used to be Uncle Albert as well. I got called a lot. So
I told my wife. Me and my wife have been together 19 years, and I told my wife probably the day we met that when I'm old enough, I'm going to grow a massive round white beard because you just look so friendly. And and who doesn't want to look like a friendly old man? I'm not suggesting you are a friendly old man. You're just an old man.
Yeah, I'm not friendly at all. I need to do your look-alike. Obviously, not so much now because you have a beard. But when I first found you on TikTok, you were literally, to me, House MD, Hugh Laurie all day long.
I think if I get rid of there's still a bit of a look. Do you know what? The first time somebody said that, I was probably 10 years ago, and I was in Vegas, and someone came up and went, "You look exactly like House," and I didn't know what House was or anything like that. All I remember, all I remember of Hugh Laurie was when he did Fry and Laurie or Blackadder, and he looked really weird. And someone came up and said, "You look like House." I was like, "What do you mean?" So, Hugh Laurie out of House. I was like, "You think I look like Hugh Laurie?" I was like, I just remember, like he's to be fair, I don't, not wanting to blow me on trumpet, but like myself, he's kind of improved with age, as you can see from the Union Jack shorts picture I showed you earlier.
Well, apparently he used to wear them as well. So
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I'd never even heard of him. But yeah, when I first started on here, everybody said that. But then it's really interesting because people always chip in with. I mean, you know this, Josh Reed. Like, people will always chip in with who they think you look like, and it literally, they're like at the moment, as lockdown makes me more and more hirsute as time goes by. It just changes all the time. So it was House. And then it was, and then it kind of went through. I can't even remember his name. Anyway, but it's gone through like so many kind of iterations. And then because I've done a couple of videos that younger people have started to follow me, and I was like, one person went like, "Oh, you look just like such and such out, such and such." I was like, I've never even heard of that TV show. And then I Google it, and it's some bloke out of a game. Just like, I'm far too old for that one.
Yeah, I get that. I get that quite often. I actually have a jumper that's like a turtleneck that's blue and red striped, and some people constantly told me I look like this villain from a kids' TV show, and I thought I don't look like that guy. And then I Googled him, and it was exactly what he was wearing. I was wearing in that video. I mean, exactly. So when I wear
it was like you look identical from the neck downwards. Yeah, it's uncanny.
I actually thought, bang on. I'm impressed that And I wouldn't have bought this turtleneck had I have known that turtleneck features so heavily in that TV show. Would never. I'm the villain from Lazy Town from now on.
Lazy Town.
See Lazy Town, that show with the pink curl, and there's a villain.
Yeah.
That guy is who I was dressing.
I'm very aware. I'm very aware of their work. Let's see if we've got any more. Chloe says Baz reminds me of a nice Hell's Angel.
I get that a lot actually, because people always say to me, "Do you have a bike?" And I'm like, "Well, I've got a rally shopper in the garage. Does that count?" But it's not the same thing, is it? So.
Of course you do. If any bike you would have, it would obviously, it had to be a rally chopper, didn't it?
The thing is, though, it's kind of like people pigeonhole straight away. So how I look is not how I am.
Okay. Here's a question. It's not out of a bowl. It's just I think it might be in the bowl at some point. Who is the most famous person you've met? And by met, you have to have had some kind of interaction, not just because I mean I've been that far away from James Brown, as in the James Brown, right?
Oh, wow.
I didn't meet him. There was no interaction. So,
Well,
who is the most famous person you've met?
My job used to be to look after famous people. So I met.
Sounds horrible.
I want that job. I want that job.
So before I did this job, the job where I announced winners to this silly game, what I actually did before that was I worked at this Wyndham's Theatre where I said about before, and I would go around, I would wait at stage door where all these adoring fans would be. I would set up railings and I would be the voice of the artist, whoever the famous person was. And I'd be like, don't attack them, don't take photographs, don't do this. And then I would basically look after the celebrity, act as a security guard, me, which was always a surprise, and then I would get them in the building, and then I would sneak the celebrity out of a side door and into a car. So I've met a great deal of celebrities, but I would probably say that and that's just, I mean, never in a way where I wasn't a servant. I was always a servant to these people or whatever. But I think the person I probably think is the most famous that I spent time with was Ian McKellen, probably.
Oh wow.
But
awesome.
I have to admit, he wasn't very nice to me, to be honest. He wasn't very nice to me. But he was lovely to the crowd. He just didn't cut me. Whereas at the same time, in the same show was Patrick Stewart. And he couldn't care less about the audience, but was well into talking to me. So, because he didn't want to go, he was like, I don't want to go over them. I don't want to do. He spent so many years signing autographs at like Star Trek conventions. He's like, I can't go over there. I can't. And he'd genuinely be like, ugh. And also, I don't know who he supports football-wise, Patrick Stewart, but he would only go and meet fans if his football team won on a Saturday or a Sunday. If he was in a good mood, he would go and be like, yeah, let's meet the people. Otherwise, he wouldn't. So I would say them two are probably the most famous that I spent time with. What an awesome job. Again, that was the awesome job before that one.
I love how the fact that we asked Joshua first, and now we're both sitting there going, wow, mine's going to seem really pissy after that.
I should have gone third, I agree, but that's just fluke. That's London, darling. That's London.
Mine's a blinder, so you can go, Baz. So I've got two. We spoke about it last week. I spent a whole evening with Chico, doing Chico time.
Oh, yeah.
I became his unofficial bouncer. But
Chico,
yeah, he had a massive career, didn't he?
Yeah.
I went to Marbs a couple of years ago, and I spent the whole evening chatting to a couple of lads in straight enough, Lineker's. And I spent the whole evening chatting to these lads, and then at the end of the night, one of my mates said, "Oh, like you seem to be getting on with him, all right? Like, yeah, how'd you get on?" I was just a lad. So they said, "Oh, do you know who he was?" And I was like, "No idea." So it turned out it was Owen Farrell.
Oh, there you go.
So if you don't know, he's the
look at that face. Look at that face there. There's that.
He's the England.
I'm not into rugby, but I know who he is.
Sorry.
He's the England team captain.
Oh wow. Okay, well that is
he wasn't at the time. He never mentioned he played rugby. We were just talking about all sorts of things, and that was it.
Strange. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Well, mine was. I'm counting meeting as shaking hands with someone. Yeah. He was walking past and I shook his hand, therefore I met him.
Yeah.
It was the Ryder Cup in Ireland in I think 2004. I may be wrong. But Emma and I had tickets right. It's one of those you go and stand where you want, but we stood right by the rope, and we saw this particular famous person walk past, and everyone was just kind of going. And I just stuck my hand out, and I was like, "No, I'll shake his hand." He looked at me, shook my hand, said hello, and walked off. Mr. William Clinton.
Oh, wow.
That's quite a good one, isn't it?
Did you check your watch was still there afterwards?
No, but I did. I mean, we're not on TikTok, so I can say this, but I did. After I shook his hand, immediately smelled my fingers and said I could smell Monica. So, yes.
You did not have sex.
I thought that was really funny. I thought that was really funny. He didn't. So I immediately met Bill Clinton and pissed him off within about 15 seconds.
I can imagine you.
That's quite an achievement, isn't it?
Bill.
We do need to go to the comments here because there's some crackers turning up here. So Gillian said she snogged Darren Clark before he was famous.
Oh wow! Well, Darren Clark was the Ryder Cup that I went to was the one that Darren Clark it famously got really emotional on the 16th green because it was the first tournament after his wife had died.
Yeah.
So what we've got Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
These are all sports people.
Darren Clark. They are, aren't they?
Yeah.
So,
obviously the most.
I've just seen Rob Appleton's comment there, and as I was flicking down, it says Jackie Charlton. I thought it said Jackie Chan. I'm not going to lie, I was a little more impressed when I thought it said Jackie Chan. It's Jack Charlton. And do you know what? I should be more impressed that it was Jackie Charlton because he's an England World Cup winner.
You should be.
Actually, I am impressed because he says Jackie Charlton and Bobby, they're cousins of my granddad's mother. So that means that Rob Appleton is related to
fourth cousins.
That's better. That's better. Yeah. That wins.
That is better.
So Gillian said her mum got into Bill Clinton's car at Skibo Castle. We should probably whiz past that one. Seriously.
At all.
I met Peter Beardsley at my high school. My dad went to school with David Bowie.
Wow.
That is a good one, isn't it? That is a good one. Yeah, well, I went to school with Gary Neville, and I know, Joshua, perhaps you've not heard of Gary Neville, but...
I do know that one.
There we go. I went to school with Gary Neville, and we were really good mates. His dad, at the time, was commercial manager of Bury Football Club, and I was a big Bury fan. So we used to go watch Bury together.
Are a big Bury fan, but it still lives on because of you.
It does. It's they're about it does just. Good knowledge. Thanks.
Just.
I just love the fact that having been gone to school with Gary for 5 years at high school, and we went to watch all Bury games together. He doesn't mention those 5 years in his autobiography entitled Red, about how much of a United fan he is. He doesn't mention the 5 years he went to watch Bury and didn't go and watch Man United. He kept that one quiet.
I've got one which isn't sports related. Just before we move on to the next subject,
is it Chico again?
No, I'm done with him. When I was doing door work, we had the entire cast, or the large part of the cast of EastEnders, at the club one evening. They were doing a charity football match at Ruston and Diamonds, but my detail was to look after Martine McCutcheon, and I hope we don't get. There's nothing libel about this. She was such an awful person.
Ooh.
And it was really, when you think someone's really nice, they're going to be lovely. She was not that at all, even remotely.
It is a shame. I've met so many famous people, and they're not. There is a vast majority that are not nice. But the more you put yourself into their shoes. Okay, a bit like Bill Clinton being like, if anyone else makes that bloody joke, I'm gonna.
I'm pretty sure everyone else who made that joke has been shot by special services. So I think I'm the only one surviving.
Luckily on British soil, yeah. Absolutely. But yeah, I kind of after watching like okay, I spent a lot of time looking after David Tennant specifically, and that guy gets so many middle-aged women just obsessed with him to the point where we had to vary which door we left the building because it just was impossible to hide from these people. And I really start to get that there's a reason he has to sometimes be short with people. There's a reason you have to be a bit. They just know what's going to happen if they don't. They've done it so much that they've stopped being so nice. I'm sure there's a medium ground, but I sort of get it a bit now. And not because I'm near a million followers. Nobody cares about me because they just get a lot of bullying. Yeah,
but listen, Joshua, you are literally, you're literally 20,000 followers off turning into that prick. that celebrity who hates the general public and can't be arsed with them.
If we ever do this again,
I can't wait to be that person. Let it said now. I can't wait to be that person that's so famous. I don't need to talk to you.
If we ever do this again, Mike will be going, right, Josh has said we're not allowed to look him in the eye. We have to
look away from the camera.
Yeah, we have to refer to him in the third person. Can you tell me though, was David Tennant a nice person?
David Tennant was one of the best people I've ever met. What a wonderful human being.
Yeah, I love him.
He had the absolute right attitude to everything he did, from the work, from his shows to the way he treated people, to the way he treated us. Everything. One of the best people in the industry I've ever met is David Tennant for sure. Great man. I like Doctor Who. I like Doctor Who. So, yeah. And I've met 5 doctors, so I'm very lucky to have met 5 doctors in my time.
Oh, who are they? Name them.
So I've met David Tennant, obviously, Matt Smith, because he would come to see David Tennant in the show, and I saw them have a little exchange once where they were like, "So I'm seeing you in the summer, and then they did this 50th anniversary where they were together. It was great. But so Matt Smith. I've met Peter Davis because Peter Davis is actually the father of David Tennant's wife.
David's son,
David's family, yeah. And then there's also Sylvester McCoy, who I met at a random.
Vision on.
Sylvester McCoy turns up to parties. He's one of those people, and I met him at that occasion when I was also turning up to the party and sneaking in the back when I could. And then there was one other person. Peter Capaldi was the last one. Peter Capaldi, while he was the Doctor as well, and he was very cool. Very Scottish, very cool. So they're my 5, I think. But I'm hoping to round it up. Let's get more. I like them enough.
You got to meet Tom Baker. He's got to be the best one, right?
Yes. Yeah, he's the one. I feel like I'm really lacking. Tom Baker. Totally.
See, I was never into Doctor Who, and I think it was because it just terrified me.
They sold out.
It terrified me as a kid, so that's why I was never into it. But yeah, If you say to me, who is the most iconic Doctor Who, as a person who's probably watched maybe 10 in his life, I would say Tom Baker. He just, if you told me to draw Doctor Who, I would draw Tom Baker. Put it that way.
Doctor Who questions in quiz.
Yeah. I can't veto any. Like I say, we will book you in for another quiz in a few weeks. But yeah, I will veto a Doctor Who or a Harry Potter round. They're not happening.
Well, I'll suggest both.
Although to be fair, the amount of questions I answer is irrelevant. It's all the guys who are in the chat section on here that do all the answers to the questions.
Oh, hang on. As a quiz aficionado, Mike has now moved into the 9 2-point answers this week.
That was lucky. That was lucky. There was a few inspired ones on that. Anyway, we've been on 90 minutes now, which is time we rang last orders. See, we're in a pub. Right. So I'm going to do. You've got literally 30 seconds to answer a couple of would you rather questions.
Oh, Jesus.
Right. Here we go.
Absolutely.
Right. The first one. Would you rather look 10 years older from the neck up or the neck down?
That's a good one.
Well, for being part of this, first. I already do.
You look 10 years older from the neck up than the neck down. That's not what we were saying. Would you rather look 10 years older from the neck up or the neck down? So is your head going to age 10 years or your body?
I'd always go head.
Ooh,
Joshua.
that's surprising. I would rather my body aged to 10 years, so that at least I have the option, the possibility of convincing a woman to spend time with me before I go. By the way, I'm much older from here down. Otherwise, I'm not going to get. I'm not going to get.
You might regret this, but you're committed now.
I'm sticking with it.
You said yes. You said you would.
I'd rather go body down. I really would. Look, I'll just keep it. Look at me. I'm covered up right to the sleeves now. You wouldn't have a clue, would you?
No, it's easy for me. It's for me. It's neck down. It's just like it's.
Yeah.
So that's all gone to shit already. They were just. That's it. You know what I mean? I may be a PT by trade, but I haven't been to the gym for nearly a year now. So it's pretty much looking 100 years older than it did 12 months ago. Anyway, right. Would you rather eat your dead friend or kill your dog and eat it when you're marooned on a desert island?
We like this question.
It's the same question as last week. And
that's a good.
So yeah,
question.
you're marooned on a desert island. Sorry, I keep shouting. I get very excited.
It's exciting.
It is. You're marooned on a desert. I realise that I've got a very good quality microphone and I don't need to shout.
I feel we should let Joshua know what Kelly said last week. She said she'd rather eat her husband than her dog.
Ooh, wow, Kelly.
But not only that, her husband was in the chat section and he suggested she do the same. So that was fine.
And also the audience pointed out that there's more meat on her husband, so he'd last longer.
So would you rather eat your dead friend or kill your dog to eat? Or if you had a dog, I don't know if you have one, but anyway.
Yeah, you got. I think you're gonna loathe me for the fact that I'm not that into dogs, so it wouldn't be much of a hassle for me to take the dog. And that's because I also believe that without stimulating conversation, I will go insane. So I need a human to talk to while we lusciously, turn that dog into fajitas or whatever we can turn it into. So, also I've got someone to help me cook this dog.
Right. Well, I love dogs, so I'm hoping the dog beats you in the fight that you're trying to kill it. Anyway, me and Baz don't need to answer that one because we answered it last week, I think. I can't remember. Right. No. This editorial process has already happened. I'm going to send you some questions because I did that when I had a huge list of things. Right, last question.
Not that one either.
No, these are ones that were in last week.
I like it.
You can see the organisation that goes into this, can't you?
Shall I show you that first video that I ever did while you look?
Yeah, go on.
That video.
Oh, yeah, God, yes. Here we go. This is the waterfall.
Hold on.
You got to watch it upside down.
I do.
Right, so it's not even a big deal. I just put it here in front of my head, and then I roll it down until it matches the same thing again. I mean, it was just it's an odd one, isn't it? I just thought, well, let's just. I've never seen anyone else do it either. I've never seen anyone else do it, so I just thought I'll give it a go. And there you go.
That's like a Rubik's Cube transition video.
This is the thing. The problem that I have is that everyone always thinks that I'm just doing a transition. I'm just doing a transition. So I can't. That's why I don't do many videos about the magic because no one will believe me. So there's no point. But I'll do one magic thing and then back to the question so it's done. So this is the one that I usually do because everyone likes this one. I just choose a color. Like I choose green, for example, and I show you the green side, and then I'm just going to blow on it briefly, and it comes back solid.
That's incredible.
And
that's incredible.
and as you know, that is a real cube. I'm always using a real cube because otherwise no one believes me.
Joshua, I would consider us friends, but I'm not being funny. When I see you, I am going to burn you because you're clearly a witch.
I'm exactly that. I'm a witch. I'm using my witch powers to gain followers.
Kill him with fire.
Yeah, I was like, I'm very disturbed by this. Right.
I'm fire retardant.
All right. Okay. I probably should have been looking through these while you were doing that.
Sorry, I dragged your attention. I was trying to divert attention so you could have a
right. Come on, let's have a good one. We're going to finish big.
What's your favorite
Here we go. Would you rather have 3 kids and no money or no kids and $3 million? I'll go first. I've got 3 kids and no money. So I'd rather have no kids than $3 million.
I think nice and simple, excellent.
I'm joking, just in case any of them. I would much rather have my 3 beautiful kids and no money. Baz?
Well, I have a child, although she's 30. I would have $2 million and £2 million and my child. How's that? No, I'd have £3 million.
I would also definitely take the £3 million and buy a child out of somewhere if I had.
I was just say it works for Angelina Jolie, right?
It worked for her.
And on that bombshell, I think that feels in an Alan Partridge style. I think on that bombshell
I'm glad that's
about buying children. I think now after 1 hour and 40 minutes of our 60-minute podcast, I think now is a good time to say thank you so much to everyone who contributed in the comments section. Thank you very much for your input. Thanks, as always, to Baz, and thanks so much to Joshua there he is down there. Thank you so much to Joshua for joining us. It was brilliant. It was fascinating. It was everything that I hoped it would be. In 2 or 3 weeks, we'll have you back on the quiz, and we'll see you again soon. So thanks, everyone. Don't leave Joshua, because we'll kick everyone else off, and then we'll have a conversation as well. So
that's when the real drinking starts. Yeah.
That's when it starts. So thank you so much, everyone. Really, really appreciate it. Honestly, I see the names in the chat section, and it's the same people who are on my 3 p.m. TikToks.
And the quiz team.
Jonah, it's the quiz team. It's everyone. You support me in everything I do. I love you all. I thank you so much for being here. Thank you, and good night.